I'd like to bring this meeting, the Clay County Commission, to order. We will begin with our invocation. President Jeff Barnes is here to lead us, so if you please approach the microphone, make sure the green light is on before you proceed.
Good evening. As announced, I'm President Jeff Barnes of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'll say an invocation now. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity that we have to gather this evening in this free country, in this free land, and exercise our democracy. We're grateful for these commissioners, and we pray for them. We pray for them as they lead and guide and serve our county. We pray that decisions that will be made will be in the best interest of those members of our county. We express appreciation for these commissioners and for all that they do. Express appreciation for their families and their support of these individuals. We pray for the members of this great county that they will be watched over and protected. We pray that their needs will be met, that particularly those who may be struggling financially or physically or emotionally will have their needs met and might come in contact with those who can provide assistance and help care for them. We are grateful for all that we have, for the many blessings that we have, for this wonderful community that we have the blessing and opportunity of living in. We again pray that thy Spirit will be here this evening with these commissioners as they make decisions, and do so humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is roll call.
Commissioner Nolte? Here. Commissioner Withington?
Here.
Commissioner Lawson? Here. Commissioner Wagner? Here. Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Here.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion related to approval of this evening's agenda? There we are. Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion has been made for the approval of this evening's agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington? Yes. Commissioner Lawson? Yes. Commissioner Wagner? Aye. Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next are public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the commission on any subject? Seeing none. That brings us to our consent agenda. Administrator?
The consent agenda allows the commission to act upon items considered to be routine and approved in one motion. These may include items that have been reviewed by the commission in a prior session. There will be no separate discussion unless a commission requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Tonight's consent agenda consists of commission meeting minutes for June 20th and June 27th, Resolution 2024-208, approving invoice payments for the county from June 26th to July 9th. There are 605 invoices totaling $1,506,378.32. Resolution 2024-202 is the transfer within a fund in the amount of $83,438.52 for increased funding for seasonal personnel costs in the Sheriff's Fund. 2024 Ordinance 18 is approving an amendment to the 2011 Land Development Code of the written notice requirements. 2024 Ordinance 19 is an ordinance to reappropriate and revise the adopted budget for the current year in the amount of $656 to true up 2024 year-to-date interest revenue above that carried over from the prior years in Fund 222. Resolution 2024-207 is a transfer between funds in the amount of $7,353.78 for Fund 222 earned interest to move into the general fund rainy day amount. Resolution 2024-206 is approving the lease purchase of 8 Hustler zero-turn mowers and trade-in 7 old mowers. And Resolution 2024-211, approving a capital project encumbrance request and loan agreement for the lease purchase of a Mack water tank truck with Kansas State Bank and Nextron truck.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who would like to address any of those issues? Commissioner Lawson.
The only question I had was on 2024-211, and that was the water truck. So when I looked at all the figures, and I could be wrong, I'm no math wizard, but it looks as though we did get an insurance settlement for the truck that was damaged. And so the difference between the damage and the purchase price was $120,999. And if I took, we were going to make 3 separate payments, which was great, that's not bad. It ended up being $130,075.14. So I wondered, would we be better served to just pay the cash for it versus, if I'm looking at it right, we're paying about $10,000 in interest? And is that correct?
You're correct. There is a slight interest for this short-term financing, which the commission did approve when we brought this forward. Just for clarification to the public, this particular item was damaged and totaled in an insurance claim, as you mentioned, but a water tanker truck is fairly expensive. And so the issue is to purchase it outright. The remaining dollars amount is unfunded. And so we recommended to do this short-term lease.
Okay. I just thought that would, we could use that somewhere else. And when we initially talked about it, I'll be honest, I didn't really have all the figures, so I didn't see that 130 versus the 120. So I just thought that might...
And if I could add to that, you're absolutely correct. We didn't know all the numbers because, as we know, interest rates change.
Sure.
And so until we were finalizing and actually receiving the truck and actually going to the short-term financing process is when we knew the final numbers.
Okay. All right.
Would you want to move that off the consent agenda, or are you content to leave it on the consent?
We're done. I mean, there's nothing we can do with it now. We already...
So you're okay with leaving it on consent? Oh, very good. Excuse me. Is there a motion related to this evening's consent agenda? Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion has been made for the approval of the consent agenda this evening. Any discussion? Any further discussion, I should say? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington? Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. That brings us to our regular agenda. We have 2 items this evening. The first one being 2024-210. Administrator.
Resolution 2024-210 is a request for a waiver of fees, interest, penalties, and taxes due to a county error. The applicant is Brian and Amber Bedrow. We'd ask the commission to give us a little bit of an indulgence. The applicant could not be here in person, but we're dialing them in. So if you would bear with us in just a moment, Chris will come up and dial in the applicant.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Are these the Bedlows?
Yes, Brian Bedell.
Bedell, I'm sorry, excuse me. This is the Clay County Commission. I'm presiding Commissioner Nolte. We are preparing to hear your request for a waiver of fees, interest, and penalties. So we just opened that discussion item up. Could you could you go ahead and give us your name for the record, and then proceed with making your case for this waiver of fees and penalty?
Okay, my name is Brian Bedot. The reason I am requesting to alleviate the fees and the interest is I entrusted I entrusted these bills to a company that did me wrong. And I was not aware of it until just about a month ago when I stopped in the courthouse because I wasn't able to get license plates because my taxes weren't paid. And there's some investigations and stuff, and I know that Clay County is not at fault for this, but I'm finding out that I owe you guys over $1,000 in fees, which I don't have because the money I gave this company to pay my taxes did not pay. They didn't pay them. And I'm finding out I owe the IRS a lot of money now too. And I guess I'm asking because I need help. I can't, I'm trying, I've never missed my taxes. I've never not paid my taxes until I trusted this company 2 years ago. And that's a whole other issue that I gotta deal with, but I'm trying to get things caught up, and it's very tough with today's economy. Just for me, I've lost 3 jobs in the last 3 years, so it's been very tough on me. My wife has not had the best luck with her job recently, and I need help, and I'm asking for your help. I've got right now, I've got about $3,300 I can give you right now to try and pay most of it. So like I said, I got $1,000 just in fees and taxes. I didn't even know I owed it. And I need help. That's what I'm asking for.
Okay. Are there any questions of the commission?
Honestly, I wish I could understand how you guys come up with some of the numbers, but I don't expect you to have that right on hand. I mean, I have a $700 balance from 22 that I didn't even know I still owed, and the fees on that are over $300, almost half of what I originally owed in principal. And I just found out about that a month ago. And the rest of it is all on the 2023, I believe, yeah. And I mean, that's over $700 on a $3,000 balance. I mean, the interest and fees are, you know, if somebody gets behind, I don't understand how you expect anybody to catch back up. I mean, the fees they're astronomical. I worked for a credit card company when I was younger, and I've never seen fees like this. And I know, I'm not trying to blame you guys for it, man, I don't know how you expect someone to try and make things right when it's almost impossible to do. I don't make that much money to do that. So, like I said, I'm asking the commission for some leniency, I'm not asking for a handout. I'll pay what I owe in principal. I'm asking for a handout with the fees and the interest so that I can get caught up, so I can get plates and everything, so I can be legal. You know, right now I can't even get my car legal because I owe back taxes.
Commissioner Johnson, I believe you had a question or comment?
Yeah. Mr. Bedot, this is Jerry Johnson, one of the commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So first a comment, then a question. The comment is, I agree, the fees and penalties and stuff are outrageous. I don't think they're fair. Unfortunately, there's a lot of this stuff that has to do with taxes that even us at the county level don't control. They're controlled at the state level. Even much of this appeal stuff, the state says, hey, listen, we can't waive any of these fees unless there is a fault on the part of the county. And obviously, there's not a fault on the part of the county with this. But my question to you is, the company that you used to pay your taxes, did you pay them more money than they actually turned in?
Yes, right now I'm dealing with a lawyer on that right now, trying to figure out, because not only do I owe back taxes to you guys, I also unknowingly owe the IRS a lot of money now too. Basically, my money got embezzled. And I'm try and figure out how that all happened and how I wasn't aware of it. The first time in my life I've ever entrusted another company to take care of my stuff because I was getting behind on things. And they did not do me justice.
Okay, can you tell me roughly how much of your money you've given them that they haven't turned over to either you or to taxes like they should have?
$4,000 or $10,000
Okay.
right now.
So this is this a fraud investigation that they're going to be doing on this?
I don't know what route my lawyer is going with this. Right now, I'm just finding out a lot of this right now. I've got a lawyer working on my IRS right now, trying to figure out how much I actually owe versus what was paid, when it was paid. And then I think I owe Kansas now too. I just found that out today. So I'm kind of drowning.
Yeah, I hear you.
Not sure how to even address all this. This outfit has over 400 cases against them already in court from what I found out. So I don't even know if I'll be able to recap any of my money.
Yeah, so
I'll be a long way down the list to get some.
So here's how I see it, Mr. Bedeau. The issue here, it's obviously not the county's fault that this happened. It sounds like it's not your fault that this happened. It sounds like this is the fault of some fraudulent activity by this company that you used to.
Yes.
And what I'm going to throw this out to our county councilor. I think that I know the answer, but I'm going to ask our attorney right now. I'm going to put him on the spot. Is there anything we could do with this third-party fraud deal that? Any kind of relief we can give for that? Do you know?
There's nothing in the statute that allows for this county commission to give relief to a taxpayer who's been defrauded by, so it'd be, and a better example or a more common example would be if you pay your escrow into your bank and for whatever reason they don't pay it.
Yeah.
Now in that situation, every time the bank eats the penalty and pays it for the person when they make a mistake, because that does happen with some frequency.
Right.
But there's no mechanism, I would suggest, under the statute for the county commission to relieve that taxpayer.
Although I do know we had one instance where there was fraud, there was some theft involved, where somebody put their check, I think, in the mailbox to be picked up, and the check was actually stolen and I think washed, and there's some forgery going on. So there's some fraud involved, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think on that one, we waived that with the idea that, hey, you did everything we asked you to do. You wrote the check, you put it in the mailbox. It's not your fault that it didn't come through. This isn't exactly the same, but I don't know. I'm hoping some other commissioners can maybe chime in and give me their thoughts on that, but I'm kind of torn on this one.
Something I wonder is there any possibility of establishing, I don't know if there's precedent to this, to establishing a payment plan to where we could just say, I hate to say finance it, but, perhaps, staff would have some thoughts on whether or not there's any possibility of doing something along those lines so that we could put that together. Mr. Counselor?
Well, again, my suspicion is I think we can take payments. We'll take whatever payments are given. My suspicion is twofold. That would not necessarily change the penalty involved, but more importantly, I don't think the state of Missouri will grant the license on the vehicles until the payment's made in full, is my belief.
Commissioner Lawson, you were seeking recognition.
Yes, I just asking the county councilor, what will happen if he tries to make payments on this? Will it continue to add interest on that after? So is there a way that we could stop that from happening, leave the penalty, but maybe take off the interest or stop the interest from accruing?
I mean, again, as Commissioner Johnson pointed out, this is really state statutes that we're dealing with, and so there's not really a mechanism, as I read those, to allow us to massage the assessment of penalties and the assessment of interest. And it also, again, I don't know that it helps him with his issue about getting his car licensed.
Okay, so both the interest and the penalty, both of those are set by the state, correct?
Yeah, this county commission doesn't set any of that.
Yeah.
Because I think clearly it's been expressed that this, this kind of commission would take a much different approach if you had that authority.
Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson. Oh, excuse me. There you go.
Thank you. So here's where I'm at. I really don't like government penalizing taxpayers for things that are out of their control. This is, to me, not unlike the lady who put her check in the mailbox and it was stolen. She did what she's supposed to do. In this case, he didn't put his check in the mailbox. He put his money in an escrow account with essentially an escrow account, or with a company that was supposed to pay this for him. And it sounds like there's some fraudulent activity going on with that company with 400 lawsuits or whatever he's claiming against. I have no reason not to believe Mr. Bedeau thought his taxes were being paid and that the money was in that account to pay those taxes. So with that theory in mind, and the fact that I don't think it's his fault, I think he did everything he thought he should do to pay taxes, and they should have been paid, but because of fraudulence they were not. So with that in mind, I'm going to move that we approve 2024-210 with the box checked approves. Let's see where that goes.
Okay, motion has been made for the approval of 2024-210 with the box marked approves. Further discussion? Commissioner Carpenter?
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I'm going to vote against the motion, so before I do that, I figured I probably ought to say why. With the check situation in the mail, for me, one thing that differentiated that was it was totally clear what happened. They had a copy of the check, the full amount of taxes written on the check, and then that amount gets deposited, but not with Clay County. It was a very clear washing situation to me. The statement that the full tax burden for 2022 and 2023 was placed into escrow and then just not delivered by the company. I don't feel certain that that is the case at this moment. And it occurs to me that in this type of situation, probably the remedy is a civil remedy with the tax company. They ought to make them whole. They're the ones who didn't do their job. So in my view, that is where the proper remedy is for this, probably not with us, but certainly understand your perspective, Commissioner Johnson, and to the extent that this taxpayer was a victim of fraud, that is very unfair, and I'm regretful that that is that is the case, if it is the case. But yeah, I think that's my view. I think the proper remedy is probably with the tax company. So, thanks.
Commissioner Lawson.
A question for our attorney. So if I vote yes, am I illegal? Is that going against the law, yes or no?
Well, I will say two things. If the motion passes, on the staff side of this, we'll do everything we can to implement the vote of the commission. If you're asking me, does this fit into the statutory language of an error by the county? No, I don't think it does, if that's what you're asking.
That what?
If you're asking, do I believe that a yes vote on this matter fits into the narrow statutory restriction on when we can vote yes, which is a county error, I would have to say that I don't think it fits there.
No, I see that it doesn't on the county error. I
Right.
get that. But I'm saying, I'm looking at the human side of it. I think that he needs definitely to go to the sheriff and take some kind of action against this guy, because he's obviously stolen the money from the man.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that, yeah.
Yeah, that would be my first action, and that's where I think he should go immediately. Once that happens, then, that guy should be liable for the penalties and all the rest of it,
I
because
agree
he
100%.
did not do it as he should have. So there's that. But I'm just saying to you, John and I, if we vote no, we vote yes, we would be breaking a statute.
It's not a criminal statute. I mean, again,
Just yes or no?
I don't want, it's not my job, it's not my job to tell you, I don't want it to be my job to tell you that you are, outside of your authority. I don't see a yes vote here being within the narrow restrictions of the statute. And so I want to, but I also will tell you, if you vote yes, if this passes, we'll certainly do everything we can to implement it.
So okay. Damn lawyers. I'll tell you what, they won't give you a straight answer. Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson. Oh, darn it. I am sorry, I am fat thumbs tonight.
So as our attorney so eloquently put, he described this as a very narrow statute. In other words, the statute is silent on this. The statute doesn't say anything one way or another on whether we can approve this or not. It just doesn't. And so the attorney is going to say exactly what he said. But when the statute is silent on something like this, it's my opinion that you need to look at what was the purpose of the statute, what's the spirit of this law. And the statute is basically we want people to pay their taxes and we want people to pay their taxes on time. And people that don't pay their taxes and don't pay their taxes on time, there's penalties that are associated with that. To me, this is a case where I don't think this is someone who neglected to pay their taxes or was trying to avoid paying their taxes or trying to avoid paying their taxes on time. That's how I read it. I read it, and I take his word for this. Hey, he thought his taxes were being paid because he put the money in this account, just like the lady who put her money in the mailbox. Hey, I thought I'm done. I'm trying to pay my tax. And when you have someone, in my opinion, I think the law says, the spirit of the law is when you have someone who's trying to do the right thing, who's trying to pay their taxes, who did everything right, and because somebody else, some third party, went and fraudulently messed it up for you, I don't think that we as government should be holding that against them. And the statute's silent on that because it just doesn't address it. The statute doesn't say anything about it at all, which technically doesn't mean that it's wrong, it's just it doesn't say one way or another. All the statute says is, hey, if it's not the county's fault, then, well, that's how you can overturn it, you can waive it if it's the county's fault. But nobody asked, well, what if there's some fraudulent involved? What if somebody stole a check out of a mailbox or somebody fraudulently took money out of there? That's where I think it's our job to look at what is the purpose of the statute, what's the purpose of government when it comes to collecting taxes and assessing penalties and interest. And that's how I come to the conclusion, he did what he needed to do. He did what he thought was the right thing to do. He thought he was paying his taxes. It sounds like he has had more than enough money in that impound account to pay for those taxes, but they didn't pay the taxes where they should. This third party didn't pay the taxes. So that's where I'm at in my reasoning as to why I think I'm okay with it. I'm going to sleep good tonight either way.
Commissioner Lawson?
Okay, so, Mr. Bedell, have you gone to the sheriff or any law enforcement to discuss this and talk about what can be done to get you your money?
No, I have a lawyer that I'm talking with right now as far as what my options are and what I need to do. And they're still trying to figure out exactly what all has happened to me. So I don't have answers on that as far as going to the sheriff. All I've been told is to let them do their job and they will get it figured out.
Oh, great, okay. Thank you.
So that's where I'm at.
I understand. I would think
Of course, I'm sorry.
that this might be something that we'd want to hold, and if we can, and see what the lawyer comes up with, and, it may all end up where he doesn't even need our vote one way or the other if it's in process of getting corrected. Does that make any sense?
It does, I think I understand what you're saying, but I need to understand one part of this, and that is, are you making a motion of some sort that we need to take into account? So that's kind of where I'm losing you a little bit, is I think I understand what you're trying to say, but are you making a motion or are you just making an observation?
Well, I could make a motion, but I think we have to vote on Jay's motion first, don't we?
Not necessarily. You could make a
No.
motion to table. There are, his is the motion on the table.
Amend his mo.
You could amend,
Jay, how
you
do you
could-
feel about that point?
Hold on, let me get you both on there, Commissioner Johnson. There you go. You're both on, so please
The
go ahead.
fact that we, since he's got a lawyer involved in getting something done on it, is there the possibility we hold off for a week or so, see what the lawyer does, and then take some action?
Yeah,
after
so
that?
two things. One, the problem is he can't register his truck, which is his work truck.
Okay.
Unless it's taped. But the other thing, actually, I have a question that might help for Mr. Bedeau. Can you hear me here, sir?
Yes.
So, do you have any documentation, because I don't see in this packet, that shows that you paid money into this impound account and how much it was?
I don't, I'm still, I've gotten stuff I've given to my lawyer. I'm still trying to figure out the months when I gave money. I gave lump sums for IRS, for government and everything, and they were supposed to disperse it.
How did
I'm
you,
trying to figure out if they paid my IRS, if the money that I've given them has even gone to the IRS or not.
so how did you give him that money? Was that money, would you write them a check or how?
Yes, I wrote them a check.
So you have canceled checks for what?
I have, in my tax files, I have, I don't know if I've got canceled checks or how I wrote that in or how I took copies, but yeah, I've got proof that I gave them money, yes.
So do you have any receipts from this company acknowledging that you paid them that money?
I should have, yes, it should be in my tax files.
When does your truck need to be renewed?
My truck isn't until January, but my car is due in July. I do have a boat that was due in June that I can't use now because I can't license that either.
You know, I could be wrong, but it might help some of the commissioners if you can actually prove that you paid this money into an impound account.
Right. And so for 2022, I mean, I gave her what she told me I owed, but then they didn't update my vehicles, which now that's why I owe $761 still for 2022. And then the fees were $300 on that. I just found that out, like I said, 30 days ago. Now, the other part, I don't know why that didn't get paid, because I'm still trying to, like I said, I think the money that I gave for the county went towards either federal or towards Kansas, but again, I'm still trying to, the lawyer company that I'm going through, they're trying to figure out where all my money went, and if it went anywhere.
And did you have enough money in that, account to handle all of your tax burdens, all of your taxes that are owed, federal, state, county, everything?
They were supposed to handle everything. That was my understanding, that they were taking care of everything.
But was there enough money in that impound account to pay for all of those taxes that you owed at every level?
Everything that they told me I needed to pay, I paid. So as far as I understood, I had enough money to pay for everything.
Commissioner Lawson, one option could be, to your point, is maybe push this off for a week, have him give us that information to prove that he did actually pay, and then also maybe some information from his attorney?
Yep.
I see there's some other people waiting to talk to.
Yeah, so you're considering possibly tabling it till next week, putting it off till next, or you're scheduling it to be heard next week possibly, or at some future point?
Yeah, let's see what they have to say.
Okay, Commissioner Withington, you are next. Please proceed.
Hey, Brian, this is Jason Withington. Hope you're doing all right. Hey, hope Maddie had a good birthday yesterday. I just have a question for staff, though. Tracy, if we hold this for a week, or maybe
Tracy
this-
Baldwin, Clay County Assessor. That would be more of a question for the collector.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that part of these penalties is there's a $105 assessor penalty, and that's for not doing the assessments on time. So that part would be no reason to waive the $105 because that was actually on the taxpayer for not doing their assessments on time.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I guess for the collector, as long as if we push this for a week, or two, as long as this doesn't go into August, there won't be any more interest occurred, right?
That's correct.
Please identify yourself for the
Deanna
audio.
Jacobs, Administrative Services Officer. But yes, that's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, all right, that's, yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure they weren't gonna occur anymore. All right, that's all I had, Brian, thanks.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes, and so Mr. Bedeau, my name is Scott Wagner, one of the Western Commissioners, and I also want to express I feel bad that you're going through this, but unfortunately, whether I feel good or bad about something is immaterial to this question. I have a question for you, and I'll just put it in the guise of whether we hold or take action tonight. My question will still be one I want answered. Commissioner Johnson asked you about receipts for you that you may have given to the holding company or the escrow company, which I would certainly be interested in. But I am equally interested in what proof were you to be provided that your taxes were actually paid. And it does strike me that in 2022, with your first year, that if you were given nothing to show that it had been paid, quite honestly, that's a red flag to me as to whether or not to have continued. But be that as it may, what was your understanding of what you were to be provided to show that your taxes had been paid?
So, like 2022, I actually paid those directly to you. They told me what I owed, I went in and paid it. Okay? But I was not aware that they did not update my information, which is why I was still over 2022, because I didn't know they didn't update my vehicles. So that's where that 761 comes.
So
3,000.
just a moment, I'm sorry. So for the 2022, this third party was to actually also update your vehicles to the county as well as pay those taxes?
Yeah, because I was turning everything over to them and giving them everything that I got from the county, I just sent to them. And then they called me and asked me as far as what my vehicles were, I gave them that information, but they never updated that information.
So how were you to know whether or not they had done what you had instructed them to do? Were they to provide you anything, paperwork, a letter, whatever, to say that what you had them do was actually going to be done?
So the way I found out they weren't doing what they were supposed to do was when I got a statement from the county saying I didn't pay my 2023 tax. And I already found out that this company had screwed up my IRS, my federal taxes really bad.
So you received nothing from the...
I hadn't even thought about the county. I was focused on my federal.
Sure.
And I didn't even think that the county one hadn't been paid.
I got you.
I got a notice from the county, and I opened it up and seen that they hadn't been paid and that I got the fee, and I'm like, well, this is great. And then I got to looking at what was on there, I'm like, well, this isn't even the right vehicle. So I came down to the courthouse and got all my stuff updated, which is where that 761 comes from, because she had to change what was paid in 2022 because the vehicles weren't updated.
I got you.
And then she told me what I owed for 2023, having that adjusted with the new vehicles as well. And I about fell over because I was like, I don't have that kind of money.
Gotcha.
With all the fees and everything. And I was prepared to take care of it because I pretty much knew at that point that they didn't pay it.
Gotcha.
And like I said, I'm still trying to figure out where my money's at with them. I don't know if they still have it. I don't know if it's been paid to the state, if it's been paid to the federal, if they've got paid to Kansas, because I worked in Kansas for a while.
Yeah.
I'm kind of blind right now, but I'm trying to at least, this is something I can try and take care of tomorrow and get it caught up at least, so that's one less thing I have to worry about.
Right.
I gotta have a vehicle license so that I can drive, because if my wife can't drive to work, then she's out of a job. And if I can't drive, then I'm out of a job because my job involves me driving my truck.
Gotcha.
So
I understand.
I'm focusing on that right now to get that caught up, and then the rest of it, I'm gonna let the lawyers handle.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I appreciate your answers, Mr. Bordeaux.
Yes, sir.
I did have a question also, and then I'll go to you, Commissioner Johnston, and that is, can the bill be divided up in that he could pay part of it and maybe get the licensing done for one, or is it pretty much a package thing? There is no way to, I didn't think there was, but I had to ask if there's a way to subdivide it out.
I think to get licensed, you have to have the entire bill up to date.
I kind of figured that, but I thought I would ask. Commissioner Johnson.
So, Mr. Bordeaux, Commissioner Johnson again, I'm contemplating amending my motion to give you more time to bring in specific information that might help persuade some of these commissioners a little more. Is that something you'd be wanting and willing to do?
I'll bring in what I can. I mean, I don't have a ton of stuff I can bring in, and I'm not a very good record keeper, unfortunately.
Okay.
Which is why I was answering everything over somebody else, because I'm not doing very good at it. So, but I'm learning my lesson that I have to do that now. So, I'll give you what I can. I can show you proof that I paid them, money. I don't know where the money went. All I know is it came out of my account.
Okay. If that's the case, I'm going to amend my motion to postpone this until, should be the 18th or the 25th. Dana, do you have a preference?
I might suggest you just withdraw your original motion.
I'm
And do
sorry.
just maybe withdraw your original motion
Okay.
and just do a motion to table for a week or two.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll withdraw my original motion and motion that we table this for 1 or 2 weeks. Do you have a preference?
We can certainly bring it back next week, provided that it gives the applicant an opportunity to get us the paperwork. So,
Mr. Bordeaux, is 1 week enough time for you?
Yeah, 1 week should be enough time for me to get it. I'll get everything together tomorrow, everything that I have.
Okay, so kind of what I'd like to see is anything you have that shows that you paid this, whether it's canceled checks or anything else, if you have any kind of receipts from the company, any information on the company, and then any information that your attorney might have on this, he might maybe explain this to him, maybe he can help you out with some stuff. And certainly if you and or your attorney would like to actually come to the meeting next week, next Thursday night, and...
My attorney is not in state.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're welcome to come then if you'd like to actually come here next Thursday. That'd be great. If not, we can do so over the phone. But that'll give you a week to give us a little more information and try and convince some of these commissioners that you did everything you possibly could and you were fraudulently taken advantage of on this deal. Sound good?
Okay. Yep.
All right.
By the way, just for clarification, Mr. Counselor, motion to table is a privileged motion, is it not?
It is.
So I would just, before you make the motion, I want to make sure everything has been said that needs to be said, because once you make that motion, we go immediately to a vote.
Right.
So is there anyone who would like to comment before Commissioner makes his motion? I see none, so if you'd like to, you've already withdrawn the first motion that you made, so now there is no motion on the table, so you are free to make your tabling motion.
I move we table 20, let me find it here. Sorry. I move that we table 2024-210 until next week.
Motion has been made to table 2024-120 until our next meeting next week. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington? Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner? Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Mr. Bordeaux, we will be taking this up again next week, so thank you very much for calling in, and thank you for your time. We look forward to getting your materials.
Okay, and who would I go see tomorrow then for what page I am going to make?
The administrator would like to go ahead and mention that. Please, Administrator, proceed.
Yes, if Mr. Bordeaux would please give the paperwork to the collector's office, then we will prepare that and share that with the commission in next week's packet.
Very good. And thank you very much, sir. That brings us to the second issue on our regular agenda, 2024-209. Administrator.
Resolution 2024-209 is approving invoice payments for the Clay County Prosecutor's Office from June 26th to July 9th. There are 15 invoices totaling $4,021.09.
Commissioner Johnson. Oh, darn it. I'm sorry. There you go.
Move to approve 2024-209.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2024-209. Any discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thompson.
I recuse myself.
Motion passes 5 in favor, 1 recusal.
Thank you. That concludes our regular agenda. Next are discussion items. We have 2 discussion items. First one is subscription-based website model, and that is under the recorder. So, Administrator, if you'd like to introduce that.
Yes, thank you, Commission. I'd like to introduce our recorder, Sandy Brock. She's here to provide some information to the Commission about this proposal, and we'd like to get some discussion and feedback from the Commission on how you'd like to move forward.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Sandy Brock. Thank you for the opportunity. Every time I step up here, it's a learning experience. And I say every time because really this is my first time. So I'm here to talk about our current website and what our needs are. And I'm really specifically talking about the real estate part on our website. So our current website, sorry, get myself together here. See, learning. On our current website, we utilize iCounty, which I do have Dave Mudd here. He is iCounty. And also the link to our web address if you ever want to look on our site to see what our current site looks like. We are the last county in the state on this application. And I can't stress enough that we have limited features. We're not going to get any new upgrades, no new features.
Could you speak a little bit more into the
Sure.
microphone, please?
Yes, I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
Yeah, pulling it
Yep.
closer would help.
Better? Oh, okay. All right, so I don't know what parts you heard. So what this version means for us, since we're the last, is we're not going to get any more upgrades, no new features, no additional maintenance. We're just kind of stagnant. Although we have current security, we're not going to get any new upgrades on security. And honestly, the website is becoming obsolete. So that brings me to what I'm asking for. If I can turn the page. So I'm looking at a subscription-based website, and that's what majority of the state does. And how we came to this, or the state, or the counties in the state did, was they were Dave was approached by many recorders asking for a change because online access has been free, and they are missing some revenue from this free service. So they come up with a plan, a tier plan that meets the needs for hopefully every user. It's tailored so that the individual user who just needs a document or two occasionally, up to businesses and lenders, title companies. So I'm asking that we try to stay transparent throughout the state. And I hope you don't see my mistake on this map. So currently there are, of course, 114 counties in the state of Missouri. iCounty services 69 counties in Missouri. We are, like I said, the last on this application. There were only 24 counties that I could not identify whether they either had no online presence, no subscription fees, or they were subscription-based or free is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know about those 24 counties, but the rest of the state is on some kind of subscription. And then if you see the focus areas around us, of course, we're free, going to be obsolete. Jackson County is free, but they have no security on their documents. They put everything out there, including social security numbers, birth dates, so they do not redact. We do redact. We try to protect sensitive information online. I don't know if you know what redact means, but we will block that section out so that you cannot view it. That's just for a safety mechanism for our website. Lafayette County has a different vendor, but they charge. Ray and Clinton, Havai County, Boone, Buchanan, Christian, Platte, all have I-County, surrounding counties. And then the ones that are closest that I compare myself to and lean on would be Boone and Christian County. So the benefit of being the last county is the precedence has already been set. They've analyzed the fees, they have the fee structure, they knew what they were doing, and so in this case, last is not always the worst. So now we're going to talk about the comparisons between the new website and the current one. So we don't have the ability to purchase clean documents online, and what I mean by clean is when you view them now, you're seeing a watermark on there. A watermark is a security mechanism in the background of a document so that you can't print it off and say it's yours, right? It's just one line of protection. So if we have the new website, we'll be able to, if someone needed a clean copy, they would be able to purchase that online. We don't have the ability to do that now. As far as user statistics, we don't really have a good way to analyze anything on this current website. So with the new subscription, we'll be able to analyze data and find out what's working for us and what's not. With the upgrades, of course, we're not getting any new ones right now. On our subscription base, that'll allow us to catch up with technology, fees, features, and infrastructure. And for security, even though we have the basic security on our current website, the new website will give us a more robust security. And you might not be able to see that online, but it will be working in the background. And that's to ensure that our website is not being misused. So fee structure, and this is a little detailed, and if I'm flying over it and I'm not making sense, please let me know. Single users are usually going to be the public. So there's not going to be any subscription fees for single users. They'll be able to have a free watermark copy, and then if they want a clean copy, they'll be able to purchase that online. The single-day subscribers will be more for the researchers or maybe the individual that's wanting to do a little bit more detailed searching. And then it goes up from there, so that your monthly subscriptions will be for the volumes and the single and multi-users that's going to suit most businesses. And again, I was just kind of hoping we would keep these structures throughout the state for transparency. Oops. Okay, so why am I asking? So obviously because our service is coming to an end, but also I-County has supported the service from the beginning for free. They have not asked for money. And as it's grown over the years, because it was very simple at the beginning, the structure has changed, and they have been supporting us all along. And have not asked for anything. But now that this is coming to an end, and of course, we're in a new era of technology, we're asking for some funds for Dave here. And the funds are about 25% of all funds that is created by the website. And Dave will provide billing, invoicing, user statistics, enhanced features, robust security, and payment options. And the estimated revenue, this is hard to track because each county is a little different. So the estimated revenue is between $4,000 to $6,000 monthly. and that's after I-county expenses. And the other thing that I would like to talk about is the subscription fees, and why the subscription fees are important. We have a recorder's preservation fund, and I will be asking later for help on some of the projects we'd like in our office. So what we call this in our office is the SAVE Initiative Program. It's called Sustainability, Accessibility, Value, and Ease. And this is, we know from past experience, hopefully preserving our records and doing some imaging and some data entry so that eventually we can maybe recuperate some of that funds once we get these all in the system.
Commissioner Withington, were you seeking recognition?
She can go ahead, I just had a question when she's done.
Very good. Please proceed.
I'm sorry.
I just noticed yeah, but if you're good to wait, then please proceed, and then Commissioner Withington will be first up to ask questions.
Absolutely. Okay. So the benefits, of course, is there's no cost to the citizens. We have enhanced features, online payments, maintenance, invoicing, robust security, and of course, no budgetary impact. So that brings me to the next steps, which is the resolution of contract, resolution of authorizing fees, and a communication plan, and I can do this a couple of ways, so however we feel is necessary, we could do this. Most of the counties have done it by mail, notifying the current or surrounding users that there is going to be a change, or I can do a meeting. I'm totally fine with whatever. And then our projected target date is October 1st. And do you have any questions?
Commissioner Withington, you are recognized.
Hey, thanks for the presentation, good job. Hey, my question was about the fees. So if they're paying a subscription fee, a day or whatever the options were, why would we also charge them to download a file?
A clean one? We're only charging them to download a clean file.
I can't
Not
hear
the
you.
watermark, not the watermark portion. We're not charging them for the watermark. We're charging them for a clean copy with no
okay.
watermarks.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you, and Sandy, thanks for the presentation. I'll lead with, it all sounds good and I want to vote for it when it comes, but the only question I have is along the fees line. I'm assuming that the fee structure that you've outlined here is pretty consistent with the fee structures that the other counties that you mentioned have done?
Yes, actually, there's only one other county that I'm asking for the lesser fee than the majority. There's only one other county that asked for the amount that I'm asking for. Most of them are offering a higher subscription rate.
Gotcha. And the only reason I ask is that sometimes when you have users who may be in different localities or counties in this case, they may complain, well, so-and-so doesn't charge me as much as you do, I've heard that one forever. So just knowing that we have that consistency, or we're pretty close to it, that's really what I'm
The only
interested in.
exception is Jackson County, which is our neighbor.
Well, as we find, Jackson County is an exception on many things, and so I tend not to worry about that. But thank you for your answer. I appreciate it. Look forward to
You're
seeing
welcome.
this.
Commissioner Lawson.
Yeah, Jackson County, both good and bad. One of the things, I went down and talked to Sandy for a few minutes about this earlier today. Something I thought was real telling was, like if you go in and you need a screenshot of your title, there's no charge, right?
That's right, that's correct.
Okay, so I thought that was good. But something we don't think about is, what about a title company that accesses that numerous times a day? They're making big money on it. So, it's kind of nice that...
And that's exactly right, because they are using our system for a business. So honestly, we're providing them a free service that they're charging.
Yeah.
I want to be careful what I say, but,
Well, thank you very
extending to
much.
their
And you did a
customers.
real good job.
Well, thank you.
See, you
Thank
thought
you.
you'd be nervous, you weren't.
Very nervous. I still am.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Well, I just want to say that too. Thanks for doing this wonderful presentation, and just you have my gratitude for your work in the office, and for modernizing and updating this system. Sounds like a smart thing to do, and generate a little bit of revenue from it. Makes sense to me too.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I assume you're looking for consensus from the commission.
It sounds like we have consensus, and we appreciate that. So on next week's agenda, we'll have 2 action items for the commission. One would be authorizing the contract with I-County to go to the new service, and also establishing fees that we would put into effect for the rollout on October 1st.
All right. Since consensus has been reached and you feel adequately instructed, we will move on to the next item, which is road impact fee, and that is Planning and Zoning Administrator, if you'd like to introduce that.
Absolutely. So again, we have a topic here for discussion by the commission, kind of talking to you a little bit about what the current existing road impact fee is, sort of a little bit of what historical has been, and throw out some options for discussion with the commission. And with that, I'd like to introduce Director Jones, who will go over the information and get some direction from the commission.
Please proceed.
Kip Jones, Planning Director. So we're going to talk about road impact fees a little bit here. So let's first talk about what is an impact fee. An impact fee is a one-time charge levied by local governments on new development with the purpose to help the government entity recover growth-related infrastructure costs. Generally, that's associated with road maintenance, stormwater, sewers, water lines, things like that. It's typically based on the type of development, whether it's residential or commercial, and it can either be collected at the time the plat is recorded for the development or at the time a building permit is issued. For unincorporated Clay County, we're mainly talking about roadway maintenance for something like this, because we're mainly talking about residential development. So let's talk about Clay County and what we have now and what we've had in the past. Currently, we're on a flat fee-based system, and that comes out of the Land Development Code. The Land Development Code states that a road impact fee and parks fee shall be applied to all residential structures. So that is any habitable structure. So basically, anything you can live in, if you pull a permit for that, the LDC says there's a road impact fee and a park impact fee. Now, this version was adopted in August of 2019, and it established those fees at $350 for the road impact fee and $150 for the park impact fee. That changed in 2022 with the fee schedule, where the road impact fee was changed to $500 and the park impact fee was changed to $0. And that is being assessed at the time of a building permit. So pre-2019, we used a formula-based fee. It was based on the number of lots being created and the condition of the road that the development abutted. It was paid by the developer before the recording of the plat, and there were a couple exemptions. If the plat included only lots that were 30-plus acres, you didn't get charged a road impact fee. And I should say this did not include a park impact fee at all. It was only a road impact fee. And there was an exemption if you created a lot for a family member, you could get an exemption and not have to pay the road impact fee, but you could only be granted that once every 5 years. And again, it was based on the surface of the road. So you can see the impact fee per lot based on the surface, anywhere from $4,400 per lot for gravel lots, all the way up to, if it abutted a state highway, it was a flat fee of $1,100. So we went and looked at how we do the fee now, the flat fee, and we estimated if we use the old system, what that would look like for the years 2020 through 2023. You can see the flat fees on the left-hand column, the formula-based fees on the right. Basically, it comes out to where over those 4 years we would have collected, or the county would have collected about twice as much with the old system than the new system. Now, I wish it was just that simple, but there's always got to be an exception, right? It's planning and zoning, so we have to have an exception. That exception in this case is the Prairie Field subdivision, where that entire permit fee for the subdivision is placed as a road impact fee. That was approved also in 2019. That subdivision is approximately 270 lots. It's located at Plattsburgh Road and 112th Street. We've issued 100 permits to date for that subdivision, and that resolution states that those funds shall be used for the sole purpose of funding improvements to Plattsburgh Road and 112th Street. And the permit fees to date we've collected approximately $325,000 because that subdivision is still being built out. So the reason we thought this would be a good time to bring this in front of the commission is you all know we're updating the comprehensive plan, hope to have that adopted by the end of the year. Staff has already started working on a land development code revision, which would align the land development code along with that comprehensive plan. As I stated earlier, the road impact fee is part of the land development code. So if the commission chose to change, amend, then that could be included in that LDC revision. And then also the strategic plan, one of the focus areas of that plan is financial sustainability, with a strategy as part of that focus area being the county to maintain financial sustainability. And then if you go even further, there's a goal where within that strategy to establish countywide equitable road funding program. So we see that this road impact fee is a part of that now, but could be a part of that going into the future as well. So wanted to just kind of bring this, give you the history, get your thoughts, happy to answer any questions. But that's kind of the basic summary.
Are there any commissioners who have any questions or would like to make comment? Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. So I'm generally used to the idea of road impact fees because you're trying to build capacity over time in areas that are being developed out, and you don't want to stick the cost of either expanding or otherwise improving a road on the first person that shows up, and you're not exactly wanting to wait until the last person shows up to develop out whatever that corridor is. So I guess from my standpoint, one, you do want the road impact fee. Two, the current cost structure of $500 doesn't seem too onerous to me based on what I think is being built. But I guess my only question to you, and I don't know if this is one of the things you're asking for or looking for direction on, but as we look at the road impact fee, and if I've missed this, I apologize, does that basically get thrown into, if you'll pardon the term, a countywide bucket? Or do we actually have impact fee areas that suggest that if I am building in X corridor, whatever that may be, I have an area that I have determined around that corridor that those dollars then get put into?
So the old system, pre-2019, was set in a special bucket that the highway department could only draw on when they did maintenance in that area of that subdivision. Mm-hmm. The current flat fee is put in the highway department's funds where they can access that at any time, is my understanding.
For any location?
Yeah, it's just been in their operating budget.
I got you. Well, I guess what I would say, and not that I'm wedded to anything per se, but it does strike me that if within our comp plan we are either anticipating or suggesting areas of development and the and more robust development, let's just to use an example from the last time we talked about the comp plan, 92 Highway. It would seem to me that if we have development along 92 Highway, we want to make sure that we have funds that we are setting aside for the further maintenance and development along that corridor, because if it then gets spent somewhere else and you're finding that you actually are getting more development and therefore more usage and more need to expand, and you've already put that money away and it is now being spent somewhere else, that would seem to me to be
a missed opportunity per se. So I guess I would, for whatever it's worth, my feeling is if that road impact fee and those areas that we want to use it for should be driven by where we expect more development to be or where we are encouraging development to go in order for those dollars to be available as it continues to grow, assuming that where we thought it was going to grow was correct in the first place. So use that for whatever it's worth. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Okay, Kip, I'm going to apologize right now. I don't fully understand this. So if what you're asking is you want to change the road impact fee from a flat fee base to a formula fee, is that right?
No, I'm not asking the commission to change anything. I'm trying to give you the history of here's how we do the road impact fee now. Here's how we've done it in the past. Maybe no changes need to be made at all, but just wanted to provide that information to you and then have a discussion and see what the consensus of the commission is.
The consensus to see if we want to go with?
To see if you like the way it is now, if you would prefer the formula-based fee, whether you think the $500 flat fee is the correct amount, whether that should be increased, decreased.
Okay. So the way it is now, it's a flat fee.
Correct.
And we have the option of going to a formula-based, essentially. And this is just for residential?
Typically, because 98% of the development in unincorporated is residential, a road impact fee can be applied to commercial if it's determined that it would have a major impact on the roadway system.
So take, for example, that volleyball place at A Highway and 112th. That's in the county, right?
It is.
Is there a road impact fee that?
There was not one assessed to that, no.
But if somebody wanted to build a house there, there would be?
There would have been, but it wasn't zoned correctly to have a house on it.
Right.
There would have been a flat fee of $500.
Which, that to me doesn't make sense, because you have a business that's going to bring in, I don't know, dozens to hundreds of vehicles on a weekly basis versus residents that may bring in a couple vehicles. But we're only going to charge residents, but not commercial buildings. Do I have that right?
Well, in that case, it was not determined that an impact fee was needed. If you remember in that case, a traffic analysis was done, and it was basically stated that there were no improvements needed. But this could be changed where it could apply to commercial as well, based on use or based on number of trips or whatever.
So can the house be built and there be no impact fee?
Not currently, no. Any residential structure would be assessed a $500 fee.
Okay, but a commercial building can be built with no impact fee?
It could be, yes.
Even though the commercial building is going to bring in a lot more vehicle traffic than the residents?
Yeah, and if I could interject, typically when you think of an impact fee, the purpose of it is to build up revenue to address the impact that new development, and you're right, I'm used to being both commercial and residential, because all that traffic, whether it is residential trips coming back and forth or a commercial business, that increased traffic on our existing roads does have an impact from maintenance. Kip mentioned, well, we do traffic studies, and does it need to be improved at that time? Maybe not, and sometimes they do, and we work with developers on that. But then there is this ongoing maintenance because you have a lot more increased traffic on the surrounding existing roads. And so right now, that's being somewhat absorbed by all the residents versus trying to help development pay for itself, not only on the new roads they need, but the costs that they're impacting our existing roads because now we have increased maintenance.
But any new development, commercial or residential, is going to have some impact on the roads. If you got more vehicles driving there, there's going to be an impact.
Right.
So that's why I don't understand. You'd have a traffic study done on, and I'm picking on this volleyball place just because that's the last one I can remember. But obviously, they're gonna bring a lot more vehicle. Right now, it's a vacant lot. It's an overgrown vacant lot with no vehicles on it whatsoever. So obviously, there's gonna be more vehicles. It's gonna impact the roadways there.
Well, but typically, a traffic study will, the purpose of that is to determine what needs to be done to the road to improvements. Do you need turn lanes? Do you need a deceleration lane? Do you
Sure.
need stop signs? Do you need stop lights? It doesn't really get into what are all those trips going to do to the wear and tear
So it's not a
of the
wear and
road.
tear thing.
Yeah, it's not a wear and tear.
And so when we talk about these fees for residents, so we're not talking about wear and tear then, it's just gonna be anything new that we need to add?
Well, residents, again, if you get a subdivision in the unincorporated area, which was an open field, it is increasing wear and tear on the existing roads because now you have cars and traffic. I think what we're asking the commission to kind of give us some thoughts on is two things. Number one, right now it's strictly on residential. So is there interest in us doing and coming back with both residential and commercial development? Because as we do the comprehensive plan, there are proposed corridors that would be commercial in the unincorporated area, which would have an impact on the wear and tear of the roads. The second issue is, are you comfortable with a flat fee, or is it something you might be interested in us coming back and talking to you more about some kind of a tiered structure or a formula-based structure? And again, when is that paid? Is it paid at the time of the building permit, or is it paid at the time that the plat is filed? The third item is, and to Commissioner Wagner's point of view, is, we've been collecting the flat fee for several years, and it just goes into, the operating budget of the Road and Bridge Fund. Whereas if we do a different type of structure, we can identify it so that it is set aside, builds up, so that improvements are on those roads that are adjacent to that development. So,
And do we have a specific formula that you want to use? Was that in your slides?
No.
No. Is there one? Is there one that you? I'm not asking you for the details of it, but is there? Do you have one in mind or anything?
I would tell you from a staff perspective, the flat fee is much easier to manage. The formula-based one was a little difficult at times, but I'm sure we could come up with one that was a little simpler, that made sense, that people could understand.
Would a formula-based one cause some people who would normally pay a $500 flat fee to pay less than $500?
It could. The previous one, the cheapest amount per lot was $1,100 if it abutted a state highway, and it went up from there.
Okay. So switching from a flat fee to a formula-based isn't going to relieve any fees, the impact of any fees on anybody, probably.
Well,
it may increase.
if you kept those exemptions. So there were quite a few. We get a lot of subdivisions where it's the parents subdividing the land for a child to build a house. And so we would grant several exemptions a year where they didn't have to pay that fee. Now those exemptions had to be approved by the county commission at that time, but that was the biggest exemption where they didn't have to pay the fee.
My last question, can you go back to the slide that showed the different pavements, asphalt, that one? So asphalt, is this, if I'm reading this right, asphalt is less than chip and seal, which is less than gravel?
Yes, and I think the thinking at the time was, and Highway Department or Road and Bridge can talk about this much better than I can, but you have to touch a gravel road or maintain a gravel road much more than you would an asphalt road.
Oh, okay.
Not the cost of installing it, but the cost of the maintenance.
Ongoing, okay. All right, that makes a little more sense. Thank you, Kip.
By the way, I'd like to follow up on Commissioner Johnson's point. I think it was a good one when you're talking about the exemption of commercial. Not only are we talking about a comparable, perhaps, number of vehicles, depending on the business, and I realize there are not many, but we are also talking about in the say there's a quick trip type of, now you're talking about larger vehicles, and if the purpose is to establish turning lanes, it becomes, it has the same issues. So perhaps we should be considering treating them the same, which I think was the point that you were trying to make. Commissioner Lawson.
I firmly believe that there should be an impact fee on businesses, most definitely. Because you're, like out by Jay's now, well, there's family coming up the road, what it's always been, and all of a sudden you throw a business in there, then you're gonna have more traffic on it. It's gonna cause its wear and tear on that road. So I do think that that is imperative, that we do change that to, that we do now charge businesses, and probably a little bit more than we would residential. The other thing I wondered about was, so if you start out like with that one that we heard about some time back, there were 6 lots off of 92 Highway, and they all had driveways out onto 92. All right, the guy said to us that day, well, right now it's 6, but down the road we'll probably add more. When you do it that way, where they're looking at a subdivision in essence being built, do you charge them for all the potential lots at one time, or do you charge for the ones they actually sell?
So in that case, if somebody brings 6 lots that abut 92 Highway, we would charge for the 5. We would, in the formula-based fee one, we would have charged for the 5 additional lots at $1,100 a piece. So it would have been $5,500 in road impact fee. In that same scenario, if we're talking about a subdivision with interior streets, anytime a subdivision included interior streets, they were not charged the road impact fee. Now, with our current system, they're going to be charged at the time of a building permit, that flat fee in both scenarios.
But you'll charge them for all the development they're going to do at one time, or as it happens?
With the current system, we would charge them for every time they come to us to get a building permit for a single-family home. So if it's 300 lots, they would get charged 300 times.
Okay. And in the future, then you're going to charge them for all of them, or how?
Well, if you stay with the current system, it would be charged each time a building permit is issued.
Okay.
If the county commission decides to go back to a formula-based fee, then we would charge per lot, and we would have to work out what the exemptions, if you would want to include that with a subdivision with interior streets, that would have to be included in the change to the code.
In your opinion, which way would you think it would be better for the roads? Which way to go on that?
Oh, I work in planning and zoning. I don't have an opinion.
Huh?
I work in planning and zoning. I don't have an opinion.
You're as bad as lawyers. No, seriously, just your opinion.
So I agree with some of what the county administrator said, that I believe the fees we collect should probably be used around the area of the development. I think Commissioner Wagner touched on that point. I also believe the $500 per lot, which is what we're kind of doing now, is maybe not sufficient enough to keep up with the development.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I like the simplicity of the flat fee, but I think the total impact fee for the formula-based system was more consistent with what type of additional traffic that the development brings, maybe, would be my answer.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you, and I apologize that I didn't touch on this question, but I do appreciate you, Kip, responding to Commissioner Johnson with kind of a series of things. The only comment I wanted to make was just, if the issue is flat fee versus formula, I would go to the flat fee. And I only say that because as I hear from and talk to many developers who have to deal with other locales, you know, one of the ways that we incentivize development is by making things simple. And I feel like when you have something that is straightforward, that further incentivizes that development coming here. Having said that, I know our objective is not necessarily to develop every part of the county and trying to get people where it makes sense as far as our municipalities expanding over time. But nevertheless, I think simple is better. I think people then know what they're dealing with. I tend to also think that even if you're doing something for a family member, which I understand, and we see many of those come before us, at some point you are hitting and adding to the total traffic counts that are going on. And so I tend to think that whether it's $500 or whatever the case may be, that is a small price to pay to make sure that, as we've also found, people want good roads and bridges in this county, and there's a price to be paid for it, so I don't mind charging that. So a couple extra pieces for you, and I will try to not say any more after that.
Commissioner Lawson.
Just one quick thing. I think if you do say with just a flat fee, that it ought to be a little more than what it is today. I don't know quite what that amount should be, but, you know, it's got to be a little bit more. Everything's going up. You know, what you could take care of a road for 3 years ago, you sure in the heck can't do it today, you know, with the price of all the stuff that it takes to get it fixed, labor included. So I think that you do have to change that to meet today's, you know, what you paid for a loaf of bread several years ago isn't what you pay today. So it's applicable with this as well. So I do think a flat fee, you're right. I don't want to see the county develop too fast. It's developing fast enough as it is, but when it does get developed, I want to make sure that we have the capability to take care of those roads that we're going to have. And now we struggle, you know, with the money part of it. So this will be better for the road and bridge, number one. But definitely, we've got to hit the commercial as well, and for more than we do the residential.
Any other comments?
So if I could maybe just kind of summarize a little bit from what we're hearing is, it sounds like most of the commission seems to support flat fee. I would suggest possibly the way where we put it in the development code, but we look at our fee structure every year during the budget cycle. So I would say, however, we put it in the code, we don't really put the dollar fee amount, the flat fee amount, but it is part of the fee structure. So to Commissioner Lawson's point, it probably needs to be looked at every year, because what is the cost of maintenance for the roads, and to be fair. So I'm hearing flat fee, I'm hearing let's add commercial, not just on residential. I would ask, is the commission interested, even with a flat fee, that we would differentiate the flat fee on a residential parcel versus a flat fee on commercial? Because commercial is going to have a lot more traffic and impact on our roads than a residential traffic. So is that something that we could consider bringing to you? And then the only thing I'm not sure, but I've heard a couple of people say is, you know, really it makes sense to us that when we collect these fees, that we really need to identify and create areas, and the money that we collect should be spent on maintaining the roads that are impacted by the development in which we have collected these impact fees. Is that a consensus by the commission also?
Are we getting head nods or?
Or does that need further discussion?
I think we probably will have further discussion on it. I happen to, you know, think that I'm open-minded on whether the commercial should be at a higher fee or we just make it a flat, but I'm willing to hear thoughts on either side. But I think, does it sound like, does anybody want to add anything to that consensus that the administrator senses? Commissioner Carpenter?
I support those things. I think that makes sense to me. I don't think we've decided how much we want to increase the flat fee from 500, but, you know, open to suggestions, certainly. You know, on the commercial side, it occurs to me, I wonder if, because we would always do a traffic study on a commercial, is that? No, not always.
No.
Okay. Because I was going to suggest, could we somehow, you know, speaking of your formula, you know, keep it flat and simple on residential, which is the bulk of what we do, but somehow on commercial tie in to expected increase in traffic?
Well, yeah, and I would think we may want to consider use with the commercial, because there's a drastic difference between a Quick Trip and you know, the embroidery business that went in front of Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Yeah.
So we could look at use, and we could amend the Land Development Code to require a traffic analysis that would tell us how many trips that would generate, and we could possibly use that to generate that fee amount.
Yeah, I'm open to some kind of creative thing to do with that. That seems like the fairest way to do it anyway. So I guess what I would say is I'm a deregulation and streamline housing building guy. I think we need to, laugh at Jay, I mean it. We need to, I'm glad Kansas City's looking into it. You know, we've made it too burdensome, too many steps and too many fees to build homes. And over time that's accumulated and it's caused a problem. We need to address it. That being said, in unincorporated Clay County, I'm not sure that's where we need to focus those steps. You know, I think building subdivisions is typically better, frankly, in city limits. I think it makes more sense for any number of reasons to do it there. And so, while I think I would have some hesitation about increasing the fee and that sort of thing, if we were talking about municipal building, I think, and unincorporated, I think it makes sense to have the incentive structure such that we recuperate fully the impact that the development's going to have. So I support all those things, I think. Thanks.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. I may have misheard, so forgive me. But I think the question was also as far as impact fee areas and if you want to keep. So I know for Kansas City when I served, just in the district I was in, we had about 5 impact fee areas. And so I just might suggest as a better way to answer that question, if there might be a suggestion that you would have as to, well, what would those areas be for us? And I think that might lend itself better to getting an answer whether that makes sense to do or not. I have a feeling, there's some areas that make sense to me, but I think if you might make that recommendation as to how you would split the county out, I think it makes it an easier opportunity to answer that question.
Yeah, and I think certainly one of the foundations that we'll be looking at is the comprehensive plan. And
right.
because as a part of that is the transportation plan
right.
Of the comprehensive plan and how does that all work. So we appreciate your dialogue, and we knew we were just introducing this tonight. This is going to give us some staff direction. We've got a lot of work to do before we come back to you all with something, and certainly the comp plan will play an important part of that.
Very well, so if you feel properly instructed, we will move on to the next issue. That concludes our discussion items. That brings us to reports. Auditor's cash basis monthly report for June 2024.
That's included in the packet, and certainly if you have any questions, please reach out to the auditor. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those questions.
Thank you. Next, our county administrator comments. Administrator?
Just again that the commission's next meeting will be next Thursday, the 18th, at 6 o'clock here in the chambers.
Very good. Commissioner comments. I'll start with Commissioner Withington, if you'd like to kick us off. Commissioner Lawson? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead. There you go.
Yeah, he tells me, go ahead, and then he doesn't let me speak. I just wanted to say congratulations to Victor Hurlburt. He was named to the Missouri Association of Counties Steering Committee for Intergovernmental Affairs, Financial, Tax Issues, Pensions. And he was real tickled about having the opportunity to do that with MAC. The other thing I want to say is the pens are beautiful. I love the color. One thing I asked for some time back, and not that everything I ask for I always get, but I really would like to see some kind of a report when it's all done and said. I want to know exactly what it cost us to, minus the pens, what it actually cost us to do the upgrade, all the new signage for roads and bridge.
And Commissioner Lawson, that was in your last month's or this month's, what month are we in, monthly e-update.
Oh, shoot.
I apologize, but it is in the front page. We gave you a summary by the different.
Everything complete and okay, good deal. Thank you very much. And other than that, I hope everybody had a great 4th and look forward to the rest of the year, see what it will bring us.
Commissioner Wagner?
I can't top that. I'm not even going to try.
It's good to know our limits.
You're so full of it.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Thompson, Commissioner Carpenter.
Well, I just want to say thanks to Chris for carrying the speaker around so we can do the phone calls. Handled it with aplomb. Thank you.
The only comment I have is tomorrow morning we will be having a graduation from the drug court. Once again, it's something that we as a county do that I think is a great service not only to our community as a whole, but it is something that changes lives. Not very long ago, we had our Veterans Court graduations. This is a similar concept, but one thing that they have in common is that you have individuals who are struggling against some of their, I guess, inner demons might be the way to put it, and overcoming them. And I think it shows a great deal of character and courage on the part of those who are graduating, and I think it shows a very foresighted attitude from this county government that we are participating with the court system on this, because while we deal very much in broad policy, certainly it makes a huge difference to those individuals on a one-to-one basis, and I think that's something that we as a county should take a reasonable amount of pride in, with the caveat that the real heroes here are those who have fought against some of their own issues and worked through them and will become productive citizens. So I think the congratulations are in order for those who participate, and I look forward to seeing them tomorrow. With that, unless there's anything further, we are adjourned. Thank you. Oh, good. It is entirely worthwhile.